G'day and welcome to my channel. One of these beers here are going to get tipped out. I'm going to tip the keg out. It might surprise you which one it is. Right, I've already talked about these two beers in my Tritortium video, which is just a quick video explaining what the malt bases of these beers are. Now this one is nearly 100% Tritortium with a little bit of oats, and this one was 50-50 Tritortium and Atlas Voyager and 500 gram of oats as well. And the hopping schedule is exactly the same, slightly different hops in this one. This one I was using a hop Vista, which I hadn't used before. This one was mainly Citra, Motueka and Nectaron, Citra and Vista. But besides that, they were hopped at the same time, you know, the same whirlpool, and dry hopped about the same time too. Both of these hazies were not dry hopped at high Krausen. They were both dry hopped towards the end of the ferment, if not at the end of the ferment. I haven't found it makes much difference. And from that other video, if you haven't seen the other video I did a year back or 2 years ago about dry hopping and the high Krausen thing, that's a little bit of a myth for the haze anyway. You'll see that you really don't have to dry hop at high Krausen to get haze. And as you can see here, this beer is months old. It's been in the keg at least 2 months. And this one at least a month. And it's not quite as hazy, but they're different yeasts. And that's what we're here for. We're here for the yeasts. Now this one here, I saw a video, and I'm not going to mention channels or names or anything like that. As you know, I don't do that. But it was kind of, I started watching it and they were raving about the yeast. And it was kind of like an infomercial, and I had to turn it off because I just, you know, I'm Australian and it's really hard to take infomercials. And it was just a bit cheesy. So, but anyway, I was really interested in the yeast. So I ordered a pack, 2 packs from the UK, which was really hard. It's not that it's not banned here, it's not GMO or anything, but they didn't send directly here. Although I think they do now, but I'm not going to mention the name anyway. But their postage was exceptionally high, so I had to send it to a resender, send it to someone else, and then send it to me just to save a few bucks. And I think for 2 packets, it cost me 40 or 50 bucks at least to get 2 packets out. And I should have kept watching the video, I think. Not that I've watched it again, but I only watched the start, as I said, I had to turn it off. But I thought it just sounded too good to be true. We'll get to it. And this one is the Pomona, the new Pomona yeast that people have raved about too, from Lallemand. This one is the high voltage yeast from, I can't remember the name of the maker. I believe it's from Ireland. Yeah, WHC Lab, which funnily enough is my old club I was in as a kid, Wyoming Hardcore. And it's they say it's a electrifying, clean, thermo-tolerant yeast. Now, I should have known that, but I didn't really look. I just went to the shop's website that I knew that had it, and I just bought it and ordered it, just at a moment of weakness. I didn't research. And it turned up, and I read the back of the packet, and that's when my heart dropped. After all the things I went through, and they weren't going to send it because it was marked as food, and then I was going to have to pay extra money. And anyway, it finally got here, and then I read the packet, and it said to ferment between 30 and 35 degrees, and that's where my heart sunk. It's got to be quike. Like, this company sell quike yeasts. They do, I think, a Voss and a Hornindal and maybe something else. But this one wasn't marked as a Voss, and I didn't really look into the details of the ferment temps. To me, I don't think it is Voss because they sell a Voss. It's probably a Latro or something like that, or it could be completely different. But it's got that. It muted a lot of, as I find quike does. The dry hops, it kind of mutes, and you get that orange peel thing that people talk about, like you do from Voss. I got it from this, and it's not what I wanted. I dry hop this with beautiful Citra and all these other things. Citra usually mixes really well with the quike yeast, though. I found it's the best. If I need to use quike yeast, the hop to use as citra with them. But so I was disappointed in the aroma, and it's just got that orange peel thing, and I don't find the orange peel thing very nice. I love it. I love a bitter beer, right? I love bitterness. It's got nothing to do with that, and this isn't bitter because it's made in a hazy, right? But that tang that you get from quike, and the dustiness, you know, it's a farmhouse yeast, and I understand that some people must find some of them clean, but my taste buds don't. So I can just about. I've been fooled. I don't know if it's even fooled. I've conned myself once or twice that I can't taste the quike, but it's when I've really drenched it. My mate's made one with hundreds of grams of citra in it, and that's when I even on my channel here I've probably got a couple of recipes. I think I made the first NEXPA and might have even used quike yeast in it. It was the first NEXPA in the world. Someone else has done it now in a brewery too. But I'm not sure. It's quike. If you like quike, you'll like it. Now, before I go too far into this beer, we should talk about this one because this is the latest kid on the block, Pomona. It's been talked about a lot, and some people, I think, did videos on it, probably before they had it. But now, see, just because I've talked like that about this one, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the one I'm going to tip out. Because if there's one thing... I brewed this beer, and for the patrons will know, as I was tasting it, it didn't have a pill in it because it was in my Brew built fermenter, which is, well, you can just see the top of it here, which is jacketed and all stainless, and I had the pill in another beer over there, and so I was taking a reading every day out of the tap just to keep track of how fast the yeast fermented and all that because I hadn't used it before. And I was tasting it, and I'm going, oh, peach. Now, I hadn't read anything about the yeast or even watched a video. I'd heard people, as soon as someone put a video out, I was getting messages. Have you tried this yeast? Have you tried this yeast? And again, I think it was at Bintani, which I was talking about, the Tritordium trade day. I think I asked Richard, who's the rep in Australia for Lallemand, at least down here, or the one I know, and he said, yeah, it's not ready yet or something. And it'll be a little while. Something was wrong and they couldn't get it or something, whatever. And that's all I knew. I knew nothing else about it. I hadn't watched a video on it. I just wanted to try it myself. Now, also in this beer, there was a new hop I used, I should say, too, the Vista. Well, it's new for me. I'd never used it before. I was down at a brewery, Bell's Beach Brewery, and I'm not sure if I'll get in trouble for saying that, but I know the brewer there, and he said, oh, have you tried this hop before? Smell it. And it just smells like citra, right, out of the packet. And I went, wow, that smells like citra. And because everyone says their hops smell, their new varieties kind of like citra, but none of them ever are. And this smelled a lot like it. It was a little bit weaker, but a lot like it. I went, wow, that's really interesting. And he just gave me a little bit, enough to make a batch of beer, which, I don't need very much. And I used it, but I didn't know, again, anything about that hop or what its qualities were. To me, it just smelt like citra, and that's not in a beer. That's in, pellet form. He mashed up some pellets, and it smelt like citra, very much like citra. But every time I tasted this beer, I kept going, peach, apricot. I think I was saying apricot more than peach. Anyway, apricot. It was hairy fruit, right? And I've got horrors from hairy fruit from a kid. I grew up in the era where, I don't know, mine end, your desserts was canned peaches, there were apricots, because they were the cheapest. Even your canned fruit salad was usually mainly apricot, peaches. And also the horrible era of apricot chicken once a week or something. And that's all I was getting from this beer. And also the hairiness of the fruit. They're just those hairy fruits. And it's nothing to do with the hair. That sounds like I've got some weird thing. Oh, I'm getting a delivery here. Sorry, just got a delivery. I've got nothing. It's not some weird phobia about hairy fruit. It's just that, you know, the hairy fruit that I remember as a kid, and even now, you know, apricot, peach, and they kind of the same to me, and I just don't find them very nice. And so this beer, that's all I was getting. So I went and read the descriptor of the yeast, and it said peachy. I think it was peach or apricot, one of them. I don't know. And then I went and read about the hop. Now, the Vista hop has apricot or peach as a descriptor as well. Although all new hops have citrus, soft fruit, dates, you know, prunes or whatever. They seem to have everything, but one of the main ones was apricot or peach. So this beer is an apricot peach bomb. The trouble is, I don't like apricot and peach in my beers. I like citrusy beers, but I can see this kind of beer and these flavours being a real hit in the people that like the new school IPAs or any IPAs, which I think should have their own category, but we won't go there. So that's it. These are two beers that, although look beautiful, this has got it's looking a little bit dark on camera. It's a real nice golden yellow colour. A really light golden colour. Not quite as dark, and you can see what this is like. Funnily enough, they look a bit different from this side, but you can see basically what they look like. They both look great. This beer here, I put a picture on Instagram, and everyone says, "Wow, look at that! Yum! It looks so juicy." I couldn't say anything because I just wanted to make sure that this video got out. Now, Pomona fermented really fast, like most modern yeasts do, and plus it was probably newer and fresher than, you know, sometimes in the old days. And I made sure I used enough. Although I think it was just one packet. I'll double check that. But I think it was one packet, because I think I've still got another packet left. But it took care of that really easily. And these were only 1055 beers, so they weren't huge. 1054, I think they were, to be accurate. And it fermented out it was at final gravity 3-4 days. And the same as this one. Look, I don't find, even, you know, and that was at 19 degrees. Like, in Quike's, 3 days, right? I don't get the use of Quike for speed, because if you pitch enough yeast of just about any strain, but pitch enough, not this one packet for under 50 and 2 packets for over 1050, that's real old school. If you put them through the calculators and figure out how much you actually need, it's usually at least 2 packets. If you do that, you'll be, and you do it at the right temperature, and it's, you know, yeast nutrient. I don't oxygenate because they're dry yeast. I don't bother doing that. Only the natural stuff from filling up the fermenter. You'll get a beer to ferment out in that time. Yeah, some will take a little bit longer to clear. Some you might have to do, you know, a longer rest, whether you want to call that a de-rest for ales or whatever. We never used to, but everyone seems to these days call it de-rest for ales as well, because it was only used to be for lagers. You know, 5 days, like 7 at the max, you can get a beer done easy. Like, so I don't understand the speed of Quike. The only time I understand Quike is if you don't have temperature control and you live somewhere hot, right? Totally get it. If it's a necessity. Or you brew farmhouse beers. If you want farmhouse, Norwegian style farmhouse beers, use Quike. Go for it. So, the funny thing about these two beers is, Pomona, I probably wouldn't use again out of choice, because I'm not a huge fan of apricot and peach. Look, I can probably use it at a different temp and try and get something else out of it. But when there's other yeasts that can do the same or better for me, you know, even verdant, just there's so many different choices these days. I'm using a different one now, right next to me in here, which is the Cellar Science hazy yeast, and that's at final gravity today. So within about a week, I'll be testing that again. I'm much preferring what I'm getting out of the yeast samples out of the fermenter than I I'm enjoying it way more than what I'm getting out of the Pomona. But some people love it. My friend Clint, g'day Clint, if you see this video, he's got a beer with it in right now, and he likes the peach thing, although he's drowned it in hops, talus. So I don't know how he's tasting the peach, but maybe it is there. Because I did think, again, the yeast in this one was overtaking the hops. Because there is a bit of Citra dry hopped in this too. I think in the flavour hop the last 5 minutes as well. So there is Citra in here, but all I was getting was peach. So that's what made me think that the yeast, is kind of overpowering the Citra. They're not hugely hot beers. They're not massively crazy like I've done in the past. But they're hazies, so they have had a bit of hop. They're both probably dry hopped with, I can tell you in a sec if you just let me look. For instance, this one had 25 grams of Motor Waker in the mash. So that probably works out about, if you put it in the boil, you'd put about a third of that, so about 8 grams if you boiled at 60. And then there was 25 grams of Citra. Well, it's got as 1 minute because Brewfather won't let you put less than 1 minute. But it's more like a flame out hop just before the end of boil, so it gets mixed up. Turn the power off. So that was 25 grams of Citra. And then for a 90-minute hop stand, a 90-degree hop stand, I should say, I put in 25 grams of Vista. And then when it got down to 85, I whacked in another 40 grams of Vista. And then dry hopped with 75 grams of Vista, 25 grams of Citra. So there's a lot of hop in it. But the yeast was, I reckon it was the yeast that I was smelling more than the hops, which is interesting. And this one was, as I said, very similar, but it was Citra Motor Waker. So it was 25 grams of Motor Waker in the mash again. The same 25 grams of Citra, you more or less say flame out. It was like 30 seconds left in the boil, I threw it in. And a hop stand at 90 degrees with 25 grams of Citra, and I just spun it, whirlpooled it until it got down to 85, and then I put 50 grams of Motor Waker in and 35 grams of Nectron, and then dry hopped with Citra, just a little bit of Citra, 25 grams, and a bit of, it's not written down there, but whatever Nectron and Motor Waker I had left went into there. All right, I've talked for way too long. Who's the winner? The Pomona is the winner by a mile, by a country mile. Even though it's very, very easy drinking, it's very peachy, apricot-y, and I can drink it right, but I've preferred other beers a lot. But I know, and I mean this 100%, I know people that would love this beer, really, really love it. If you love those sort of soft, fruity, the modern, I can nearly say the modern IPA, which makes me cry. But a modern IPA, you know how they're just a bit flabby and soft. This is really nice. I was at a brewery the other night, their 10th birthday, and had their big new hazy, or big new old hazy, and this is better than that. This is getting tipped. I can't stand it. It's probably got more positive comments than any of my beers I've posted in years. Pictures of it on the internet. It looks like orange juice or what, like those people want that. But I cannot get over the quike taste. It's really making me gag talk about it. Like, it's drinkable. I know people that would slam this keg down. It makes me cry that I wasted Citra in it. But I can't get over the quike thing in it. It is not clean. I don't care what anyone says. I did it right in the middle of their recommended temperature. I don't remember exactly. I might have it written down here again. Hang on, give me a second. I fermented at 32 degrees. I did 32 degrees. They say 30 to 35. I did 32. I just can't. I didn't try to adjust the pH because quike can drop your pH a bit, and so that's why sometimes you can get that tangy, soury thing. Maybe if I did, but I don't want to buggerise around with it, and especially a beer that looks like that. Once you start buggerising around with it and adding things later, there's all that chance for oxidation. You know, I know I can put things through, and I probably should have dosed it with biofine to try and do something, but this is months. I don't have the exact date in front of me, but it's got to have been in the keg 2 months. It's not going to change. Man, I can't do it. It's that. When they say orange peel, it's like squeezing the skin in your mouth. You know that you used to light it with your lighter as a kid? It's not a flavour I enjoy, and I'm not a fan of quike, so this is nothing new to people. But I didn't know it was a quike yeast when I bought it. As soon as it turned up, I looked at it, you idiot. But I gave it a chance. I'll give everything a chance. I don't think I'll give this yeast a chance again. I've got another packet of it. Should auction it. Does anyone want maybe I'll try a lager with it, but I just know. I can tell it's quike. You can taste it. I don't know how people say they're clean. So anyway, and I don't mean, I'm sure WHC, Wyoming Hardcore, no, the yeast company, WHC Lab, Fermentation and Quality Control Specialists. I'm sure other of their yeasts are great, but Kvike is not for me, and I'm just about to tip that keg out and get some footage for the video because I can't drink it. It's going. It's going. So in this competition, even though I probably won't buy Pomona again, I'd use it if I had to, but I wouldn't buy it at a choice. There's lots of other, ale yeast I can use that don't throw the peach, and lots of other yeast I can use that don't taste like quike. Someone put a comment on a group a couple of weeks back, and I had to screenshot it, and it was the best thing that I've ever read about quike, and it's quite. It's not groundbreaking, but it's the truth. There's always a better choice. There's always a better choice. Unless you're making a farmhouse ale, a Norwegian farmhouse ale, there's always a better choice. Yeah. Unless you have to, unless you have to. And I get it. If I was stuck, I'd have to use it. I wouldn't use Hornindal because it tastes like dead ants. I'd probably use Voss, but to me I've only got this beer and it tastes like a lot I've done with Voss, which I try not to use anymore. But yeah, as I said, I'm guessing it's not Voss because they sell Voss in another packet, so it's probably I don't know. I'm guessing. Thanks for watching. Thanks to my patrons. For without them, I wouldn't have to put myself through this torture. Take it easy. Thanks for watching. Thanks to my patrons. I'll see you in the next one. Sorry, WHC. It's just that yeast. I'm sure all your other ones are good. And sorry, Lalman. I'm not a huge fan of the new Pomona yeast. If you love peach and that soft, fruity stuff, you'll love it. You'll love it. Don't get me wrong, but it's not for me. Angry old man yelling at Claire. Jesus. Honesty is the best policy. Cheers. There'll be one more soon. There'll be the Pomona versus the Cellar Science. The Cellar Science beer should be up and running in about a week. There you go. That'll be interesting. Cheers.